how's it going? It's Sarah here. I'm back to do my February books that I read, to give you guys little reviews of them and kind of let you know how I felt about them. I am obsessed with all of these books that I read. I read 15 books in February. I cannot believe it. But honestly, once I tell you about these books, you'll understand why. They're all amazing, and I really hope I can get you guys to read these books too. So let's get started. The first book that I read in the month of February was Fight Club, because that's a book that we did for book club. I think in January actually, but I finished it and I didn't talk about it last month. So yeah, because in February we did Anxious People, which I read in January, and I told you guys about it. So Fight Club, super good book. It's by Chuck Palahniuk. It is about this guy who has like this best friend. This book is crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like stream of consciousness writing. This guy's apartment blows up, and then he creates like this paper soap company where he's like selling people's fat back to them, that like for super expensive soap. And like he creates this fight club where like you put like all of your problems and inhibitions aside, and like you just fight two guys, you know, like number one rule Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club. It's wild. There's a huge twist at the end. It's just like mindfuck of a book, but really cool. It's like a classic. Amazing movie as well. They did a great job. Brad Pitt's in it. Just really great. So I recommend reading it if you want something kind of like crazy to read. It's really short too. I think it's only a couple hundred pages. So Fight Club was the first one. Then I finished the series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've been reading it over the past couple years randomly. So I read Mostly Harmless by Douglas Adams, and these books are fucking hilarious. Like that's it. Like they're just super funny. It's just like about space travel and Arthur Dent, who's a human who befriends Ford Prefect, who's actually an alien who hitchhikes to different galaxies, and he just ends up on Earth and he's stuck there, and so that's why they're friends. And so all this stuff goes on, and so this is kind of like the ending, and like him falling in love and having a daughter and just like all this wild stuff. I honestly cannot even begin to explain this series, but if you want something funny and science fiction-y, I absolutely recommend it. It's just freaking hilarious. Oh yeah, and I wanted to introduce my cat Moon over here. She's gonna be in the video today. The next one that I read Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. I know it's the second in the series, but I wanted to watch the movie with my boyfriend, so I was like, let me just read the book. And I audiobooked it, and it was really intense and creepy, just like I'm sure you've heard, just like the movie, and the movie did an amazing job. They did a great, like almost just like the movie, which I mean almost just like the book, which is really impressive because you know that never freaking happens. It's about this, like, I think it's either CIA or FBI, like detective agent who's like in school to do it. Her name's Clarice, and she starts working with Hannibal Lecter, who's in prison, and they're trying to find out like more information on this murderer. And so she like gets to know him, and it's super creepy, and they're trying to find the serial killer that's still out there. And so it's very like thrillery, like intense. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. But what I really loved about it is I feel like in some books and movies, like the girl usually is like, I don't know what to do, or like, you know, like in the horror tropes of them just like falling and like not having like weapons or anything. Like she's a badass, like she knows what she's doing, and like you like hear her thought process of being like, okay, it's dark now, what do I do? This is my next step. And so she's just like not helpless, and I just thought that that was really amazing, kind of like a breath of fresh air to read something like that. So I loved it, absolutely recommend. And honestly, I'm gonna recommend all of these books. I really don't like, there's a very rare amount of books that I read that I don't like. And even if I might not read it again, I can appreciate the work. Like, I'm not an author, so like, who am I to be like, this book sucks, 1 star kind of thing. So I just appreciate all of them. So that's why I don't rate the books on here. So the next one that I read, I saw from Call Her Daddy podcast. I don't know if you guys follow Alex Cooper, but Daddy Gang over here. She recommended this book called Colts, and it's by Max Cutler, and this is a nonfiction book, and it's almost like podcast written almost, and I audiobooked this one, and it's just basically about like all these famous cult leaders and like their upbringing, their background, what they did while in power, and then like their eventual fall. And they probably do like 8 or 9 different ones, and I just thought it was so interesting because I think last year I read Chaos about the Manson murders, and I thought that was very interesting and just like about him as a leader. And so I just really liked it. It was really cool. So absolutely recommend if you're into cult leaders and stuff. It's very gruesome and dark, but I also listen to Crime Junkie podcasts, as you can see, so I'm into stuff like that. So great one. The next book that I read is a classic that I kind of wanted to get into. I'd never read any Ernest Hemingway, and so I read The Old Man and the Sea because it's like 100 pages. I didn't love it, but also like it's a classic. Like they're not necessarily going to be easy to read, but I'm really happy that I did read it. It's just about an old man in the sea. Like, he's not doing a great job at fishing, and people around town are kind of making fun of him, but he's friends with this guy who always like helps him fishing, but his family tells him, to stop going out with the old man and going out with the other fishermen because they're doing better. So he basically just goes out by himself, and he catches this massive fish. And he's like, oh, I wish the boy was with me. I wish like he could help me because like I need his strength. And so he's exhausted, and he's out at the sea, and he's trying to like pull this fish in, and it's a mental battle that he has. He's like, I wish I had more water. I wish I had more food with me. I wish I had strength. And he's just basically pulling this fish in. And there's a little drama to it. It's intense. So yeah, it's a quick read. So if you've always wanted to read like a classic Ernest Hemingway, I mean, it's so famous, so you can't go wrong with it. Then what did I read next? Alice Feeney. I am obsessed with her, as you guys know. I mean, any like mystery thriller I love, like I just throw them back. So this one that I read by her was Daisy Darker, and this is my favorite one from her so far. Holy shit, what a whirlwind of a book. It's huge twist at the end. Oh my god. If you read it, you're like, wait, hold on, what? Like, close the book. I need a minute to breathe moment to get back into it. Crazy. So it's basically about this girl who is having like a family reunion for her grandma's 80th birthday, and like her family and them like don't really see each other, don't really see eye to eye, like they're kind of dicks. And the grandma is just like, she's the closest one with her grandma, and she's kind of like weird, like she's kind of like the black sheep of the family. And so, but she goes and sees her grandma, and then like the rest of the family comes, and the grandma was told once by like a psychic that she was gonna die on her 80th birthday. And so that's like, and her birthday's on Halloween, so like they have like the celebration for her, but everyone's kind of ignoring her. And then the next morning, like the grandma dies, and then there's like a poem written like, and like then like people start dying, and like things start happening, but they can't leave because it's on this island, and they're like, who's killing people? So it's crazy, like when you find out who's killing people and what's going on. It's just so good. So please read Daisy Darker and let me know what you think about it, because my mind was blown. Very, very good. Then the next one I read was Sign Here by Claudia Lux, and this is a book that I got from Book of the Month. Not one that I would have like randomly picked out, but I'm so happy that I got it. This book I have not even heard of Claudia Lux, but I need to read more of her books now if she's written other stuff, because this book was hilarious and heartfelt and so different. It's about a person who is in hell, and he works there, and so he started at like a lower level, which was like really terrible, and like now he's like moved up to like the sales department of hell. And basically like he goes with like iPads to people who are like praying, that are on earth, that are like, please, like I need I'll do anything, like I just need help, like to get into this college, or to do whatever you happen to be praying for. And so they're like, hey, what's up, like I'm here, what do you need, like I got you, all you have to do is just like sign here on the iPad. And like they just have to like get souls pretty much to like go to hell after their time on earth. And so it just like him living his life in hell. Basically it's like, oh, the first 15 pens that you use aren't gonna work. The bars that they go to, the only thing they have to drink is Jaeger. Like it's just pretty much miserable. But it's really goofy, and then it also like talks about like these people's lives and like how he's trying to get out of hell and all this stuff. Like if you remember your last name, a bunch of stuff happens. It was just a really cool different read that I just like wasn't expecting and really enjoyed. Then the next one that I read was also a book of the month one. I have a bunch of book of the month books that are sitting on my shelf that I just like have been getting every month and haven't gotten to yet. So this one is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. And this book was amazing too. Like one of my favorite movies ever is Ocean's 11, and this kind of reminded me of that, of just like the kind of like group of people, and they're like badass, they're kind of like Charlie's Angels-esque, but like they're older now, they're like retired, so it's like this group of women who are like in their 60s now, and they're like on a cruise together, like seeing each other and like catching up, but then they see like an old acquaintance and they're like, what's going on, like why are they here and not saying anything to us, but like they're undercover. And so they realize there's like a hit on them from like the government that they worked for, and so they have to like go through, and it's kind of like what's a movie that Keanu Reeves is in? I can't even remember the name, but basically like you have to go like take down the man kind of thing. And so it's just really funny, like but like the fact that like they're older, they're like, God, I haven't done this in a while, my back hurts, like it's just great. Like I just really loved it. Let's see, the next one that I read, this book was intense. I was not expecting it to be like this. I thought it was just a mystery. It's called Tell Me Everything by Erica Krause. And this book is like real, or like it's like fiction, but kind of like loosely based on like her real life, because she's actually like an investigative reporter and stuff. It's just really cool. So it's about this woman who is Erica, like the author, who just has a face that people tell secrets to. Like she just like that kind of person. People just come up to her and be like, oh my God, like why did I just tell you all of that? I usually don't do that. And so she gets hired by this guy, and she ends up like doing reporting for this college that has like a horrible like sexual violence problem. I don't want to say anything triggering on here. And so she's basically like interviewing all of these college kids and interviewing the victims and stuff, and she's trying to get like this law passed and get like the football players arrested and the coaches arrested. And so it's like her life like going through this investigation and trying to get it pushed through the government. And so it's very intense. It can be very triggering, so depending on if you want to read it or not, but I just thought it was very, very interesting and painful, but realistic. Like it's real life, and so you just really have to be careful and pay attention like at parties and stuff like that. So yeah, I was not expecting that. I thought it was just like a mystery book, but I am really happy I read it. It was very good, very well written. Let's see, what else did I read? I've been trying to get through the Harry Potter series. I know, like, so behind on the time. So I finally read the fourth one, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So good. I mean, everybody knows what this book is about. Like, if you've seen the movies, I've seen the movies a million times. So it sounds funny, like even trying to explain it, I guess, because I feel like everybody knows what it is. But it's Harry Potter and, you know, at Hogwarts, and his name gets in the goblet, and he has to like do the Triwizard Tournament, and so the school's there and meeting it, and it was just really cool, like reading about it, because I've seen the movie and there's like so much extra stuff that happens in the books that's adorable, and you like really get to know the characters more and stuff like that. And Hermione like going on a date with the guy, Victor Crumb, and stuff like that. It's just really cute. I just love it. It makes me want to watch the movies again. But I'm excited. I think I'm waiting on the next book in Libby, so I can read the fifth one. So I'll hopefully get through that whole series by the end of the year. But I'm not like addicted to it or anything. The next one that I read, the series that I started, that my book club has been bitching at me to read because they love fantasy and I'm trying to get into it more, is the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber. So good. What have I been doing? This book is amazing. We did the Night Circus in the book club last year or a couple years ago, and it really reminded me of it. But this is a very more like in-depth one where it's like these two girls that I've been writing to the person, his name is Legend, and he's the one who like creates this like magical Caraval game that you win a prize at the end of the game if you like figure out, you know, whatever the goal is. And it's just really cool because it's like this beautiful like magical town, and they get away from like their dickhead dad, and like their mother passed away or like ran away, they don't know, and they go through like this like insane festival, carnival, Caraval, like what it is, and it's just really cool. Like all this like there's just like actors and magic, and you have to like trade secrets and trade time in your life and stuff for answers to figure out what you're doing. You can get tricked. Very, very cool. Very easy to read. I absolutely recommend it. I'm actually reading the third one right now, and I'm like halfway through. I'm definitely gonna finish it today. It's so good. So absolutely recommend, just like all these books. Let's see, just a couple more left. Finding Me by Viola Davis. Oh my God, I love her. Like, I already loved her before watching her in like How to Get Away with Murder, and I can't wait to watch The Woman King. I can't believe I haven't watched that yet. She's amazing. If you've read like, God, what did it remind me of? The Jeanette Walls book, The Glass Castle. How like heartbreaking and intense, like growing up in like absolute poverty and your parents like being abusive but like kind of doing the best they can, and just dealing with domestic violence, and I mean like growing up as a person of color and being like super poor, and her being like, I'm gonna go to college, and seeing where she is now and seeing where she came from was just absolutely incredible. Like she's just amazing. So I absolutely recommend it. It was funny and it was heartbreaking and just really intriguing. Like if you want to know about her life and if you like her as an actress, I would read it. But if you just want like a good memoir, or is it a memoir or autobiography, I guess, I would read it too, because it's just written really well. Like I just loved it. Really, really great. Let's see. Another book that I read by Alice Feeney, because you guys know I love her, is her new book, His and Hers. And this book was twisted and had a, like all of her books, had a huge twist at the end, which I was like, what is going on? It's about this reporter and this detective and a murder. I don't want to give anything away. I don't even know how to talk about it. Basically a bunch of crazy shit happens, right? Like that's every book. It's a thriller. Murders happen and they're like lying. Like I think it's saying like his and hers. It's like his truth, her truth, and then like what the actual truth is, kind of thing. I can't even explain it anymore because I don't even know how to, but it's really good. So check it out. I don't know. Okay, 2 more books. Lessons in Chemistry. Oh my god, my friend Hannah, which follow her, Hannah Bloom Lifestyle YouTube channel is amazing. She also talks about the books that she's read. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. So good. I started this book and I was like, I don't know, because it has like, it's like pretty depressing right at the beginning and has like a couple triggering parts, so be careful. But it's just, it ends up being like really, really beautiful and very empowering. It's just a fiction book, and it's about this woman who's like the STEMinist kind of books, right? She's a chemist, and so she's trying to come up in like the chemistry field, but there's all these sexist dickhead men that she has to deal with, and it's kind of like a romance where she ends up falling in love, and so I don't really want to give too much away about it, but and then she kind of creates her own cooking show where she like talks about chemistry and talks about cooking to like the general population of women, and it's really beautiful how like she empowers them, and it kind of talks about her own life. So it's really cool book, really beautiful. So just get through like that tough part at the beginning and you will not regret it, because I was like, should I keep reading this? And my friends were like, yes. So I'm glad I pushed through it. So really, really good one. And then last but not least, you know I love my mystery books. Simone St. James. I'm pretty sure I've read every single book by her at this point now. So this one was Silence for the Dead, and it takes place like back in like, I don't even know, like the early 1900s or something. I'm not really good with timelines, but this woman goes, well, she like lies her way into like working at like a mental hospital kind of, and she basically has to take care of these men that came back from the war that have PTSD, and this hospital is like super strict, but then it's also super haunted, and like her dad is like an abusive asshole, and like her brother she thinks is dead because he went off in the war. So all this stuff happens, and she's like finding out about like this ghost that's in there, and it's like messing up all these men, and just like so many crazy stuff happens, and it's so creepy because like the guys are like kind of crazy. It's just like a few women, like understaffed hospital working with like these PTSD like adult men. So it's wild, but really good, really great ending. Her books always have the best endings, so they always like tie with a little bow at the end, and you know I love that. So that is it, you guys. Those are all the 15 books that I read in the month of February, and so I'm super excited to get back to you. Hopefully I'll do it a little bit earlier next month to talk about my March books. So please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and join my book club if you're interested. I have a few different ones. So go on my Patreon. I'll put the link down in the description box in the bottom, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.